Yeah, we'll be talking about artificial sweeteners and diet soda. I know there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and it's still conflicting. So hopefully we can, at least gather some knowledge about it altogether. Before we begin, I love Coke Zero. It's my drink of choice, and it's actually Coke Zero sugar now, but yeah, it's still considered something that does use artificial sweeteners. If we can get this going. Okay, so objectives. We'll be talking about the history and development of artificial sweeteners, nutritive versus non-nutritive substances, sugar substitutes and FDA regulation, diet soda and ADI, ADI standing for acceptable daily intake, adverse effects on health, um, their link with obesity, and then finally conclusions. So in 1914, World War I saw a shortage of sugar and a subsequent push by the scientific community for saccharin usage. Saccharin, we'll see, is one of the artificial sweeteners that is used. In 1939 to 1945, World War II saw a similar sugar shortage, and so saccharin use was increased, resulting in a change in the public's diet. In 1958 is when we were introduced to Sweet and Low, which is a blend of saccharin and cyclamate. Due to its more sugar-like taste, the use of artificial sweeteners increased dramatically. 1963, that's when they released the calorie-free soft drinks, which again saw threshold growth for the industry. And then in 1965, we saw aspartame, which is now the primary sweetener in diet sodas. Without dwelling into biochem so much, quick slide on sugar. It is a disaccharide, which, looking at that diagram, just two monosaccharide molecules joined together. Energy source is from carbohydrates. Now, the way sugar behaves, it causes a rise in blood glucose, which then results in the pancreas releasing more insulin to help with glucose storage. Overconsumption is linked with dental cavities, tooth decay, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, and heart disease, osteoporosis, along with vitamin and mineral deficiencies. It's also harmful to the gut flora. It feeds bacteria such as Clostridium difficile and harms bacteria such as Lactobacillus rhamnosus. So what is a sugar substitute? Simple enough, any sweetener used in place of sugar. These can be either nutritive or non-nutritive. And the purpose of their use is a cost reduction and need for caloric restriction. So caloric or nutritive sweeteners, they have about the same sugar content as table sugar or granulated sugar. They may have some antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and other health benefits. Some examples include honey, molasses, agave, maple syrup. Now, artificial sweeteners, these are considered the non-nutritive, low-calorie sweeteners. They're often synthetic, often 100 times or more sweeter than sugar, so a small amount can be used. Found in many products such as diet sodas, diet beverages, candy, light yogurt, frozen desserts, anything that says sugar-free, pretty much. Many different types and brands exist. With the approval process, the government does look at the health safety for these sweeteners. They do develop acceptable daily limits for every approved sweetener. They're much more than anyone would typically consume, and 100 times lower than the amount that causes health problems. So the 6 artificial sweeteners that the FDA regulates, we see obviously there's sucrose, there's saccharin, aspartame, acesulfame, potassium, sucralose, and neotame. And there's a slide down the line more about the acceptable daily intake as it results to how much we are able to consume and how many diet sodas that would equate to. So saccharin, which is sweet and low, was developed in 1878, rapidly excreted in the urine, does not accumulate in the body, 300 to 700 times as sweet as sugar, often used in soft drinks and as a tabletop sweetener, such as, if you get coffee, they will have, along with regular table sugar, they'll have a sweet and low packet there on the table for you. Also marketed as sweet and low, sugar twin, and NectaSweet. There were a lot of conflicting claims that bladder cancer was an issue, or any type of cancer can be caused by these sweet or saccharin products. but they're believed not to cause cancer, and there's no warning label required for them. Aspartame, we have the equal or NutraSweet. This is the most thoroughly studied sweetener, discovered in 1965, about 200 times sweeter than sugar, also used as a tabletop sweetener, found in hundreds of products and sold as equal. It degrades during heating. It's the only artificial sweetener to be digested by the body, and it's dangerous for people with PKU, which is phenylketonuria. It continues the amino acid phenylalanine, which people with PKU cannot metabolize. So its accumulation may result in MRDD-like symptoms. And that's why the soda cans, especially Diet Coke, you will see that it does say, warning enough, do not use if you have phenylketonuria. Then we have sucralose, which is Splenda. Discovered in 1976, 600 times sweeter than sugar, a derivative of sucrose, which can be used in baking, tabletop sweeteners, dairy products, and soft drinks. It's the most heat-stable sugar substitute, and over 100 studies show no safety concerns. And this is also marketed to those who have diabetes as a quote-unquote safer alternative than using table sugar. Then we have acesulfame potassium. It's discovered in 1878, 200 times sweeter than sugar, creates more sugar-like taste when combined with other artificial sweeteners, marketed as Sunet or Sweet One, found blended in many food products, used in chewing gum, dry beverage mixes, breath mints, and cough drops. And neotame, this is one of the newer ones, so it's not widely used. It's FDA approved as of 2002, 200 times as sweet as sugar. It's got a clean taste, clean and sweet, similar to sugar, used in chewing gum, dry beverage mixes, breath mints, and cough drops. And it's got a similar warning for those who have phenylketonuria, just like aspartame. And then we have the novel sweeteners, which include stevia as well as sugar alcohols, which I'll discuss on the next slide. They're generally non-nutritive as well, and non-caloric. They don't easily fit into one category. Origins can be natural, and they include sugar alcohols and stevia. So stevia, it's a concentrated form of a compound found in the stevia plant, several hundred times sweeter than sugar. For example, one packet is equivalent to about 2 teaspoons of sugar. Then we have our sugar alcohols. These occur naturally in fruits and vegetables, such as mannitol, sorbitol, xylitol, isomalt, lactitol, and maltitol, used in quote-unquote sugar-free foods, but yield kilocalories, about half as much as sucrose, such as hard candies, jams, jellies, gum, cookies. Side effects, they may have a laxative type effect, so you may have gas, abdominal pain, diarrhea. The body absorbs sugar alcohols less quickly than sugar, so they have a lower glycemic effect. I did put that middle image there because it has nothing to do with alcohol. It's just, yeah. Okay, so now diet soda. It's a mixture of carbonated water, artificial or natural sweeteners, colors, flavors, and extra components like vitamins or caffeine. Most varieties contain 0 or very few calories and no significant nutrition. And no matter what regular soda there is, there's always usually a diet or a sugar-free counterpart. So instead of sugar, they're sweetened with artificial sweeteners like aspartame, cyclamate, saccharin, acesulfame, or sucralose. First introduced in the 1950s for people with diabetes, and then later marketed for weight loss concerns or those looking to reduce sugar intake. Despite being free of sugar and calories, the health effects of diet drinks and artificial sweeteners are controversial. So we see as the years have gone on, the diet soda popularity has, like, not just production, but popularity, obviously, to meet the demand, has been rising. So effects on weight loss. Several observational studies have found that using artificial sweeteners and drinking high amounts of diet soda is associated with an increased risk of obesity and metabolic syndrome. Some scientists say that it may actually increase appetite by stimulating hunger hormones, altering the sweet taste receptors and triggering dopamine responses in the brain. Because they have no calories, These responses may cause a higher intake of sweet or calorie-dense foods, resulting in weight gain. However, evidence is not consistent in human studies. Experimental studies do not support the claim that diet soda causes weight gain. In fact, these studies have found that replacing sugar-sweetened drinks with diet soda can indeed result in weight loss. Now, there's strong evidence of bias. Obviously, studies that have been funded by the artificial sweetener industry will show that they have more favorable outcomes, just to make the product seem a bit more legit. Links to heart and kidney disease. So it has been linked to increased risk of hypertension, 9%, type 2 diabetes by 21%, and heart disease in several studies. Research has found that just one serving of an artificially sweetened drink per day is associated with an 8 to 13% higher risk of type 2 diabetes. However, this risk was still half of that as when compared to the sugary drinks consumed. Some studies also said increase in the risk of stroke, but this was only based on observational data. More direct experimental research is needed to determine if there's any true causal relationship between diet soda and increased blood sugar or blood pressure. And finally, observational studies have found an association between drinking a lot of diet soda and the development of kidney disease. If diet soda does indeed cause this, a potential reason could be the increased acid load on the kidneys due to the high phosphorus content. Preterm labor, childhood obesity, and then we'll talk about other effects. So large studies have found associations linking diet soda to preterm delivery. However, a causal link has not been found. Additionally, infants of mothers who drank diet soda during their pregnancy are at an increased risk of being overweight. And then some other effects that artificial sweeteners and or diet soda may reduce fatty liver, as when compared to drinking regular soda, diet soda can reduce fat around the liver. Other studies have found no effect on this. No increase in reflux. Carbonated drinks have not been found to make reflux or heartburn worse. But again, research is mixed. More experimental studies are needed. No strong links to cancer. A slight increase in lymphoma and multiple myeloma in men was reported, but again, results were weak. Changes to the gut microbiome. They do alter the gut flora, leading to reduced blood sugar control. And in this way, it may possibly increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, but again, more research is needed. Increased risk of osteoporosis. They are associated with bone mineral density loss in women, but not in men. The caffeine and phosphorus in the cola might interfere with normal calcium absorption, which can then cause issues with bone. Tooth decay. Like regular soda, diet soda is associated with dental erosion due to the acidic pH. Comes from the addition of acids such as maltic, citric, or phosphoric acid for flavor. And finally, linked to depression, observational studies have found higher rates of depression among those who drank 4 or more diet or regular sodas per day. However, experiments are needed to see if it's the diet soda that's causing it. So here, the acceptable daily intakes based on the artificial sweetener itself. So unless somebody's taking in 18, 19 cans of diet soda, I would say that, or at very least 6, it should be pretty safe. And this graph just shows that there's shown to be a link with obesity and artificial sweetener use. As the years have gone on, we do see, according to the Journal of American Medicine, as of February of 2014, about 35% are obese and have some sort of consumption of artificial sweetener use. Pretty much the same thing. Again, another one dealing with obesity and artificial sweetener consumption. We do see that even in the long term, there is an increase in weight. This one followed them for 7 to 8 years after their diet soda consumption. Same thing. So conclusions. At this time, there are insufficient data to determine conclusively whether the use of non-nutritive sweeteners to displace caloric sweeteners in beverages and foods reduces added sugars or carbohydrate intakes, or benefits appetite, energy balance, body weight, or cardiometabolic risk factors. And this was from a joint study done by the American Heart Association and the American Diabetes Association. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Vic. That was great.
Thank you.